40 years ago, a bold idea took root in Colorado. The idea was that liberty, opportunity, and individual responsibility could shape not just policy, but the very character of our state.
When we came to look for a name for the Independence Institute, what became the Independence Institute, we wanted to invoke the Declaration of Independence. That's where the name came from. I should mention, in terms of the early days of the mid-'80s, we had kind of a rocket-boosted launch for our little think tank with some financial support from people like the Coors and the late Cortland Dietler.
In 1985, John Andrews and David D. Evelyn turned that idea into reality by founding Independence Institute. Following the closure of the Chavano Institute, an offshoot of Hillsdale College, they gathered a tiny, joyful group of freedom fighters to do something remarkably different. They built an organization subservient to no industry, no politician, and no political party, but subservient only to the principles of liberty found in the Declaration of Independence. For 4 decades, Independence Institute has pointed to that true north, forcing Colorado policy to bend toward freedom.
The field was wide open. Nobody was bringing free market, constitutional, fundamental, factual, analytical skills to bear on the problems of Colorado.
From those early days, Independence was more than just an idea factory. It was a catalyst for change. Just look at the record. Because of Independence Institute's work, Colorado became a pioneer in charter schools, empowering hundreds of thousands of parents with the choice they deserve.
The fun part for me was probably the sequence of the whole 8 years that I was there, from the idea of a tax and spending limit in Colorado's Constitution being just a glimmer in the eye of a few people. Tabor then passed in Colorado Springs in 1991 as a municipal experiment. Independence Institute was right in the middle of analyzing that experiment and showing why all the scare talk about grass grows in the streets and letting prisoners out of jail was all false. And then we had the satisfaction of being part of its passage into the Constitution in '92. And it's still, as you've often said, the best thing for limited government and for the ordinary working family in Colorado. That's an Independence Institute achievement.
We stood as the persuasive voice for the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, Tabor, creating what the Wall Street Journal called the gold standard of tax limitations that protects every Coloradan's wallet. We ended the state's punitive graduated income tax with its top rate of 8% and ushered in a flat rate of 5%. Then we lowered that rate to 4.4%. And we didn't just fight for wallets, we fought for rights. Through the work of Dave Kopel, Independence Institute single-handedly changed the gun debate in the United States, providing the scholarship for Supreme Court victories like Heller, McDonald, and Bruen. In 1990, John Andrews and Independence Institute acted as the primary catalysts for Colorado's historic shift toward term limits, establishing Colorado as the second state to impose such limits. As the organization's founder, Andrews used the Institute as an intellectual launchpad to frame Amendment 5 as a moral rebellion against a permanent political class, successfully bypassing a resistant legislature to secure a landslide 71% approval at the polls. While the 1990 victory was the Institute's initial breakthrough, its long-term defense was solidified when Dennis Polhill joined as a senior fellow in 1993. Taking the helm as chairman of the Colorado Term Limits Coalition in 1994, Polhill spent the following decades as the movement's primary guardian, utilizing research and high-profile litigation, such as Polhill v. Buckley, to protect the citizen initiative process and ensure the Colorado model remained a permanent fixture of the state's political landscape.
The whole became more than the sum of its parts by raising the banner and saying, let's gather, let's see how we help each other, let's offer this to donors, let's network with other states. We kind of pushed the shavings and the kindling wood together, lit a match to it, and we began to be able to put on bigger and bigger logs on the fire, and it's really never stopped burning.
As the mission grew, so did the leadership. In the 90s, Tom Tancredo modernized the reach, pushing for school report cards and education transparency.
I had to raise the profile of the Institute the best way I could, and that way was through being edgy. What are we doing here if it isn't to do something significant? I mean, every day I want you to think about how we can start something.
Then came a new chapter. Under John Caldera, Independence Institute evolved from a pure research shop into an agent of political change.
This is not your daddy's think tank, in that this is an organization that has a bit of an edge to it.
We stopped just playing defense. We started recruiting. Through our Future Leaders program, we have trained over 200 interns, flooding the freedom movement with talented, principled activists. And through our Citizen Involvement Project, we have trained an additional 400 Coloradans to take positions in local government. We stopped bad ideas in their tracks, defeating tax hikes like Prop 103, Amendment 66, and Prop CC, and we defended constitutional freedoms in the courtroom. Today, we aren't just a voice, we are a fortress. We established the Freedom Embassy, a brick and mortar headquarters within walking distance of the state capitol. When we looked at a map, we saw the side of collectivism and control had at least 50 brick and mortar operations, but none for liberty and individualism surrounding the Capitol. Now, freedom has a home there too.
The intellectual groundwork and the networking of expert witnesses to come to testify in the legislature, all that stuff was happening out of our little shop at Independence Institute out in the foothills in Golden. I love it, the fact that you're not in the foothills anymore, you're at literally the foot of the Capitol.
This building signals to every enemy of the individual, we are not going anywhere. The best ideas don't belong to one moment in time. For 40 years, Independence Institute has stood for independence in thought, in voice, and in mission. As long as Independence Institute exists, liberty in Colorado has a champion. And we are just getting started.